welcome to All Things Manchester. My name is Tom Topping, and I'm the host of the show. We're seen on Cox Cable, Public Access Channel 15 in Manchester, on Thursday mornings at 11 o'clock and Thursday evenings at 6:30. In the booth, I've got Rich and Rich doing the technical work, and our technical advisor from Cox is Dave. Thank you guys for the great job that you do. Tonight, it's an honor to have Dr. Stacey Zackin, who's the, is it director of?
Manager.
Manager of Workspace in Manchester, Connecticut, which has got a Main Street location. Stacey, would you be kind enough to introduce yourself and tell us what you do?
Yes. So my name is Stacey. I actually grew up in Manchester, and now I work for the town underneath the Department of Planning and Economic Development. They created a co-working space, and it has evolved into Workspace, which is a co-working, meeting, and gallery space. And people have private offices. People can use our desk for a day or a week or a month, get 24/7 access to the building. People can book meetings from an hour to, I think the longest we had was a full week. And you know, me and Deb and a couple other people have come and gone, really help us make it a hospitable place for people to get work done and meet people.
And I think you do a great job, not just promoting Workspace as a work environment, but it's actually become a bit of an art space in the community. And if you wouldn't mind actually not just touching on that, but going into a little bit of detail, because that's really, in my opinion, what you folks do best.
Thank you. In 2017, I was hired to manage the co-working and meeting space, and the Manchester Community College at the time, now Connecticut State Manchester, they rented out the first floor. They furnished the meeting spaces. They installed an art gallery, which was run by a professor there. She would bring her students over to help manage the gallery, and it was an on-site learning environment. Sometime around mid-2019, they decided to focus all their energies back on their campus, and we just absorbed the gallery. We call it the Main Street Gallery because it's on Main Street, although we're happy to call it the Tom Topping Gallery if you want to talk about how that might work. And I have a somewhat creative background, but no experience in gallery operations, but there were a lot of people in town who we all came together and figured out. You put out a call for artists, you track the pictures, you build relationships, you hang the show, you have an art opening, and then we decided there's all this great art on the wall, we have to get people in to see it and experience it and enjoy it, so we started to create Companion.
Wow, very nice. Now, you say art, and then you talked about pictures, but it's much more than a picture gallery. Let's take, for example, the Make Music event that you recently had.
Yep, and that was more coordinated in my role as like the co-chair of the cultural district. So in 2024, we were granted the status. We were the sixth town in Manchester to get designated as a cultural district. And the state of Connecticut, the Office of the Arts, wanted to do that because they wanted to show support for not just arts, but culture, which is everything. It's museums and theater. It's anything that brings people together for conversation. And so a lot of the things that we do are both, whether they take place at Workspace or not, it's kind of a joint effort between Workspace, between the cultural district. We work closely with the downtown district. We're building really wonderful relationships with the Historical Society, the Women's Club. Our closest partner is really Imagine Manchester, which is the evolution of Imagine Main Street. Bill Ludwig brought it back to life after the pandemic, and they share a same mission of bringing people together around art and culture, and their primary work is to get artists paid, which is really nice. So, you know, I work for the Department of Planning and Economic Development, and we love volunteers and we accept volunteers, but we do like to be able to pay people who are teaching, who are professional photographers, and things like that. So you asked about Make Music Day. We have meetings, the different cultural districts, and at one meeting, I think in February, the Office of the Arts asked if we would get involved with Make Music Day, which apparently is a global initiative that I had never heard of. And Connecticut now is one of the had more programs, more towns participating than many of the other states. It is international, but this was our first time out, so we did 7 events at 3 venues. We had 4 events at Workspace. We had harp lessons in the basement of Cheney Hall before their matinee, and then we had 2 events at the Lutz Children's Museum. So not bad for the first time out, and all of those artists who led programs got paid, which is nice.
I did not realize that you were a co-chair of the Cultural District.
Yes.
You want to touch on that a little bit?
Yeah,
Dennis?
Dwayne Harris and I did a little bit of research, worked with the people at the Greater Hartford Arts Council, who were our liaison to the state. You know, they gave us all the requirements, all the paperwork, all the hoops we had to jump through. Manchester was well situated to become a cultural district. Again, you have a children's museum, you have a children's theater, we have all these nonprofits, you have Workspace, we have Dragon's Den, which is a gallery and tattoo salon, and they do art openings. We have so many parks and places for recreation. So all we really had to do was get together some of the metrics for them, and Dwayne did a great job formulating the map. At one point we thought we were going to be 2 districts because we were so big, but now we're basically 1 district with 2 paths. We've got a north-south path that runs from the bottom of Main Street all the way up to Center Springs Park. So it includes the library and Memorial Park. And then we have an east-west, which is more of a loop. So you have Charter Oak Park and the Oaks Skate Park, which wasn't even there when we started to do this. Then Lutz Children's Museum throughout the historical, you know, the Cheney Landmark District, the Chamber of Commerce, Cheney Hall, the Fireman Museum, all around to the Historical Society. Yeah.
It's something that I personally am very supportive of. I've been to a
Yes.
couple of the meetings, and I think Manchester has a lot of history, a lot of energy, and some of the, unarguably, some of the best events in the state, because you can start with the road race. And I think all that encompasses the cultural district too. Do you use those things, those events, to leverage the cultural district?
Yes, I mean, obviously our annual events, which take place in the geographic area that is designated the cultural events, helped a lot. The cruise and car show, the road race, as you mentioned, the tree lighting ceremony and caroling, the downtown district starting off the season with the butterfly stroll, the market at 115 Main that the Firestone does is a big draw. Silk City Coffee. You know, it's not just a coffee shop.
Yeah,
it's a real community gathering place. And they were so supportive of us when we did our first coffee crawl last October. We're going to do it again. We had 3 groups of people. One started at Silk City, one started at, I think it was Center Perk, and one started at Penny's. And then they just all switched until all 3 groups got to the 3 locations, and they were provided coffee and some sort of, you know, Danish or pastry.
I didn't realize. That's what I missed.
Yeah. So what was happening when puppy yoga was happening?
Oh, well, that's...
Yeah. So now, so people don't miss it, I'm hoping that the coffee crawl will be an annual tradition. We're going to be doing puppy yoga now 4 times a year. So if I get this right, it's going to be... we're doing it again in September, December, March, and June. So those will just be happening. And then at the same time, we're doing the fixery. And that's something we started where volunteers will sit there with tools and sewing machines and things like that, and community members can come and bring in broken fans and blenders. There's a gentleman who you know, can work on computers even, fixing jewelry, mending things. So, yeah.
You've done 2 of those so far, right?
I think we've done 3 of them.
Okay.
Yeah, and now we asked the volunteers, do you want to do it 3 or 4 times a year? And they all said 4, so we've set those dates. Yeah.
This is a question about, I think that it ties in with the fixery. Isn't the town now sort of working on a bicycle plan where...
Yes.
Okay.
So I'm not intimately involved in that other than participating in events and filling out the online paperwork to see if we can become a bike-friendly business, and Workspace actually got silver status as a bike-friendly business. So there's definitely people out of the Family Leisure Recreation Department, specifically Joanne Tedford, who's working with the different bicycling groups and working with UR Community Cares. I don't want to leave anybody out. There's definitely a lot of partnerships happening. So there was a big event on the rail trail behind Cheney Hall. Unfortunately, it was a miserably cold and rainy day, but the people who did show up, the troopers who showed up, they were great. I moved my table underneath the bridge, thinking it would provide me some coverage, but that bridge is so high and the wind was so strong, it didn't matter. But my table was next to Mayor Tito, our dog mayor.
Yeah, I remember.
That was fun.
Now, that was Michelle's event, right?
Yep, Michelle of UR Community Cares.
Yeah, yeah. Now, you've known me a long time, so you know how I can get lost in conversation. I'm going to backtrack to the cultural district. And again, this isn't really so much about Workspace, but more your work with the cultural district. We have a phenomenal, walkable cultural district.
Yes.
Even if you started at the far end, let's just pick the Historical Society, you can walk all the way up to the center of town, and it wouldn't take all that long, and you would see the Cheneys, all the stores, all the churches, all the parks and everything. Isn't that part of the walkability? Isn't that?
Yes. And ours, because it's so big, it's not walkable for everybody.
Right.
But you can certainly divide it, into sections. When we did the bicentennial, I think that was right before we got the designation or right after. I think it was before. We got a trolley. And Susan Barlow, our town historian, who leads these walks all the time and tells you all about the architecture and the history and the stories and the anecdotes. So you definitely have to check that out. They're doing even more walks this year because of the 250th. So she created a script for those of us who are narrating the trolley. And again, one person could have done it the whole time, but we want to engage as many people as possible. So we all took shifts. Susan was the best, of course, but that was, great fun. And we've tried since to, the Youth Bureau let us borrow a van, which we put a magnetic sign for Second Saturday, because now we're trying to make Second Saturday a thing, like the Thursdays were back in the day, but we're also trying to make Thursdays a thing too. So Second Saturday is when Workspace throughout the entire year has an open house from 10 to 2. That's where we do the fixery, the puppy yoga. I lead a creative writing class. Nadia Sims, our poet laureate, leads the poet tea, where you write poetry and drink tea, which she intentionally gets from Perennial, to support a small business. And then she tells all of us, what the tea is and where you can get it. We had Connecticut Science Museum at the last Second Saturday doing an event. So we're really trying to make it family friendly. Britta leads a family friendly craft every month, totally free. We had a grandmother there with her granddaughter, and she never gets to do stuff with her granddaughter like that, to sit and craft, things like that. So it's really great. And there's a lot of runners and walkers, and there's a lot of people who say they would love to ride their bike on Main Street, but some of them don't feel too safe. But we have many, many trails. But it's nice that they're thinking about putting in something a little bit more bike friendly, because then people can come off the Greenway and come get coffee, lunch, maybe purchase something in our gift shop and support local artists. So we'll see how it goes.
And it's affordable. That's something I think we need to stress a little bit. The Historical Museum, no charge. And they're having a dinosaur exhibit later in July. I mean, a lot of people don't know that there was dinosaur bones out at the mall. And our concerts, the Bel Air concert series in Center Park.
Yep, and there's the Mark concert series, and then they're on Purnell Place. Another one of our partners is Rise Up for Arts, and they, when Purnell Place turns into a pedestrian roadway from Thursday to Sunday. Third Thursday, which is when we do our listening room open mic, they have family-friendly activities. They've got artists and vendors. They collaborate with Urban Lodge because they're right at their door. So there's not a shortage of things to get you away from Netflix.
Right, and I think the key term that you used is family-friendly.
Yeah.
Because the whole thing is family-friendly. Manchester is a family-friendly. It's actually a very diverse community. And I kind of going to jump back to the workspace here. There's a lot of shows at Workspace too, isn't there? Like
art exhibits or performances?
Performances.
People, yeah. So we do. Really, Imagine Manchester does the listening room. That's hosted by Liz, and we set up all the chairs and the speakers and everything, and it's become quite popular. And the reason they call it the listening room is because, unlike other open mics that might take place at a bar or coffee shop, we're not going to be grinding espresso beans while these people are singing, and we're not going to be mixing drinks and things like that. Bill Ludwig also founded the Manchester, Connecticut Songwriters Association. So they gather around, they share songs they wrote, they give each other feedback. People from Wit and Wisdom Poetry, which is a local poetry group, are coming and providing lyrics that they'll write music to. So it really is about expanding your circle and making connections. Art might be pretty to look at or might be thought-provoking, but it's really a way to get people to share experiences and learn about each other.
What's your favorite part about working in the Workspace?
I love when people it's simultaneously heartbreaking and rewarding when people come in and say, wow, this is great. I never knew this was here. Because we're doing our best to do marketing, but we actually do more programs than we can market successfully. But we're working on it. And I love when somebody gets an opportunity to try something new and feel safe to fail. So we have we've had a lot of young entrepreneurs come, and our rates are so reasonable, and there's no, if you want an office or you want a month-to-month, everything's month-to-month. There's no long-term lease. So if you're launching a business and 3 months into it, you're like, you know what? I thought I'd be further along now. I'm going to, give up this space, go back to my kitchen table, and I'll see you in 6 months. So that's happened quite a few times, and introducing experienced business people with new business people or business people with marketing people. So it's really great just to, be that forum. And I think ecosystem has kind of become a buzzword nowadays, but it really is an ecosystem. And when you have a first-time artist, maybe a hobbyist like myself, who puts something up on a wall, and at our art openings, they're generally 5:30 to 7. We ask the artists to be there around 6 so they can meet each other. We generally have people go around and introduce themselves and point to their pictures. So to have a newbie artist stand next to an experienced, trained career artist and having them talk about each other's work, that's monumental.
When we talk about Workspace as a business entity, and you're looking for customers, do you have a certain type of customer? Is it really, are you focused on the artist community, the artistic community?
Not for the business side. The business side, we welcome artists. It's not a place really to create art. We don't have the setup for that. Everything except one room is carpeted. We don't have the ventilation, things like that. But we do love working with creative businesses. The idea is that you come to help grow your business, and when it grows to a certain level, you move out, and then someone else can come in. So we've done that quite a lot, but we've also had some remote workers in there who work for big, companies. They've come and gone, and then we have some people who've just been there a really long time. I did have a conversation with somebody once. It was a little awkward, but I said, if we were doing a push to focus on entrepreneurs getting more in, and I said, if that happens, you're going to have to give up your office, because we're not here just to provide an economic office. We're really here as a community to usher people along, and unfortunately it's sad, but we have to say goodbye to people. But then the pandemic hits, so he's still there. But Yeah, it's great. It's really unique that a municipality would invest in a co-working space like this. And it's great for people who want to have meetings. You know, we have people from the Yukon events department who've had meetings here because, you know, you want to get away. No matter how
Right.
nice your environment is, you just kind of want to get off campus a little bit. You know, people who are from out of town, all these remote workers, and they need a central place to meet a couple times a year. They can go to Hartford, and Hartford's great, but it's a little expensive to park in Hartford. You know, and not all buildings are surrounded by, you know, hundreds of pieces of artwork. And I think when people talk to us about possibly hosting a meeting, and they're like, well, where can we get, you know, lunch? And we're like, take your pick. It's like Epcot down there.
Yeah,
We have
yeah.
Ecuadorian and Japanese and Chinese Thai. We have Machu Picchu, Mexican,
Miss Penny.
Italian, Jamaican. Oh, that's so good.
Yep.
Coffee shops, and the Firestones Cafe is great. And that's just Main Street. I mean, there's so many places in Manchester.
I think Manchester's Main Street is a little bit of a question mark to a lot of people. They don't realize exactly what we've got down there.
Yeah.
But you could do a daycation and you park your car in one of the lots where you can stay more than the 2-hour free parking that they give you in the front. And you could spend with your family all day down there and
Yeah.
not really break the bank either. Do you have to be a Manchester resident to participate?
Nope. We
Okay.
consider anybody can rent the meeting spaces or have an office there. We consider local in terms of local art to be New England. Every once in a while, a New Yorker wants to come. We're like, okay, we're very welcoming. The only thing we don't do is mail artwork back. So if somebody, you know, wants to come from Maine and bring us work, that's great. But we just don't have the bandwidth to pack it all up safely and mail it back. So that's the only thing we don't do. We also have, I think it's over 24 now, people who use us as a mailing address. So anyone who is a member can use us as a mailing address. And then we've got other people who basically use us as a P.O. box, or if you're starting a business, on Google needs to know a physical address, and you don't really want to give your home.
Right.
So they can use us.
Now, speaking of Google and all that, is there a place on the internet where we can get more information?
Workspace Manchester is our website. The town also has Your Voice Matters. So if you want to Google Your Voice Matters Manchester, you'll get there and see different departments and entities have their own page. The Cultural District has a page. Certainly something that I could keep more current. But our website has all of our events, social media. We're Workspace Manch. Manchester Cultural District is also on Instagram and Facebook. You can also, if you're interested in specific types of events, music, we've got the Silk City Fest coming up, which is music, art, and beer. I think this year it's their Urban Lodge. It lands on their 7th anniversary, so they're going to be taking care of the beer garden. We're adding another stage. There's going to be 3 stages, and this all takes place in the parking lot behind Workspace in Purnell Place. I think Audacity is probably also going to be serving up some special brews, and we're going to have artists and vendors selling things. We're going to have interactive art stations. Again, 2 different stages, which I think are managed by Better Beast Records, which is a local record company that shares the same mission of giving opportunities to artists so that they can, you know, live life and do their craft and get paid. And then one stage, I think, is going to be solely Manchester performers.
That's great. That's in the admission fee to get into Silk City.
That would be free, Tom.
I see a theme here.
Yeah. So it takes a lot of work, a lot of volunteers, especially with something like Silk City, because you're there at dawn setting up tables and chairs and everything. This event, I believe, is going from 1 to 7. It's also happening, it's August 22nd this year. It's the same day as the Peach Festival. So we encourage people to double dip and go to both events. We don't see it as competition. We see it as another reason for people to come and stay in Manchester.
I think My experience with workspace is that you folks do a little bit more than we covered here today in terms of facing the community. In fact, that's how you and I think we actually met, because you were hosting a holiday event.
Yeah, I think there was one year after the tree at St. James went over the Rainbow Bridge. Nothing was happening, and people on your Facebook pages were upset about it. We're like, well, come to Workspace. We have a piano. Bill Ludwig, at the time, town troubadour. He came with his guitar. We hired a piano player. We had a couple different varieties of Christmas trees. We had the symbols for Kwanzaa. I brought in some Hanukkah stuff, and somebody played Santa Claus.
Well, I think we all asked Santa Claus for a tree that night.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
Next year, when you put in the call to Santa, I remember him asking you, can we get a tree? And you said, do what you got to do, Santa.
Do what you got to do. Yeah, that was just a temporary fix for that 1 year in between our old tree and our beautiful
that's what
new
I mean.
tree.
You're instrumental in a lot of what goes on down there, and I think it was very humble of you the way you presented yourself tonight. I'm very grateful to have you on the show.
I love what you do for the community too, and I got to say I work hard, but none of these things would manifest without Deb Cassidy, without Bill Ludwig, without Nadia Sims, Donna Powell. A new woman joined our team, Neth Fertitti. Lucy was on our team, but she moved to Oregon. And I will say that our next art show, currently we're hosting the Manchester Art Association art show, which was nice. That was their show, their members, they hung it. When that's over, we're going to be doing Roots Run Deep. And it's an art show to celebrate Indigenous heritage, because we really want to celebrate America's 250th while acknowledging the land is a little bit older. We're going to be having an opening art event with a ceremony, and we're going to be doing a writing boot camp. Nadia Sims and I are doing a storytelling lab for people who want to better understand their heritage and how to articulate it in a story form.
Well, it's certainly a pleasure to have you on the show tonight.
Thank you, Tom.
I'm sure I'll see you downtown, and
Yeah.
we talk all the time. I'd like to thank everyone for tuning in this week to our weekly episode of All Things Manchester. Thanks again to the studio crew and Cox Communications. We are on Thursday mornings at 11 o'clock and Thursday evenings at 6:30 on Channel 15. Thank you.